All right, so before we start today's lesson, I want to show you guys if you're missing a texture from Mixamo, if you're missing a texture inside Motionbuilder, how to apply it properly or just bring it back. I'm just gonna choose a regular dude, nothing too fancy. Just enough. Oh, Ninja guy sounds good. Okay. Download. Need to sign up every time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did they change? Sign up or sign in? Where's my sign in? Login. Oh, she's okay. Maybe we can download her. T-pose, download. Go on downloads. Where is it downloading? No, it's a big file. Okay. So I'm gonna take yeah, I'll take it. Desktop, Dawson, Winter 21. Would I put it in downloads? Yeah, I think I put it in downloads. No, it was here. Sorry, guys. Character T-pose, yeah, that's it. Oh, Motionbuilder class, okay. Characters, so we'll just give her a name instead of this weird color soup. It's my sister's name. Okay, so we open this up, and what do we get? Obviously, we get the textures because they're preloaded, which is okay. Did we get the FBM? So once you open a scene with textures, usually creates a folder with a .fbm. So if you open that up in the same location, you will get all the textures that come with it from Mixamo or Maya. So it's usually this, the diffuse is the one that you want, right? That's the one you want to assign to Motionbuilder. So where are the textures assigned? The textures are assigned in materials. So if you look in the material, open up material, and you go on body, double click on it, you will get a bunch of materials here, and you want the diffuse. So the diffuse, see, the diffuse is the one that has the texture, file 1 blah blah blah, right? Is that the name of it? No, it has a different name. That's very strange. Because it should have the name of that PNG. Unless, where's the textures? Textures are here. Okay, so it looks like the name of the texture or like kind of the node inside Motionbuilder is called file 1, but the actual texture is called this. So this is this is the PNG and matches this. So don't worry too much about this. This is the difference between a node in Motionbuilder and the actual texture file, but don't worry too much about it. I'm gonna delete this texture, or maybe delete the material. Let's see. Just to give you the idea of like the problem that you're gonna face, right? So the hair is another material. So this one we're gonna keep. We just need to delete the body to show you how to import that PNG. Okay. So for example, let's say it is in multiple pieces, so you probably have to apply it on each single piece. So it'll be easier if everything is one piece, but it's not a big deal. So if your character comes in like this, no textures, like you try to display, go on display, models, textures, and nothing is showing up, you go to that FBM folder and you just select the texture and you drag and drop to the mesh. Okay, make sure your mouse is on the mesh, and then just hold on for a couple of seconds. It will give you a pop-up. So it will tell you, do you want to attach this as a diffuse? You click diffuse, and now it created a material with that texture. Okay, is it displaying the texture? Yeah. Maybe models, textures, and shaders. That would be better. That doesn't look right though. So let's try the arms as well. Okay, so now it's where I think probably the shirt is like light gray or something. That's why it wasn't showing up. So we do the same for the pants and the shoes. Hopefully the shoes. I selected the shoes properly. Yeah. So that's it. That's the way to. If your character doesn't show up with the textures, just try to apply it this way. If it still doesn't work, then poke me. I'll try to solve it, but chances are there's a problem with the UV maps coming in, or something went wrong with the file. Okay. I'm just gonna reopen the file. It's gonna be a little bit easier. Just drag and drop new scene to start the keyframe version. The keyframe assignment. So characters, open, all takes. So as you know, there's no character in this scene yet. Anybody remember how to create a character in Motionbuilder? No? Okay. It's basically the same step. So I wanna transform this Mixamo rig into a Motionbuilder character. Okay, so because right now I can't select anything, I can't do anything inside Motionbuilder. So I need to create a character. So I go in templates, character, same step as last time. The only difference this time is I'm gonna drag and drop the character node to a joint, because last time we dragged it in the viewport and we started assigning each bone separately. So the reason I showed you this method is because if you download a character like this from another site other than Mixamo, and it comes already with a good skeleton, you know, a good skeleton is, you know, proper placement of the joints. Everything is really nice and straight, and it's done well. You can bypass Mixamo and just go straight to asynation like this. Okay, so you don't need to go through Maya and Mixamo and all that. You could just take the bones, drop a character template, and start assigning the bones. But if you choose Mixamo, you don't need to go through the assignment anymore. Okay, so what you need to do, I'm gonna delete this character and redo it. You just drag and drop the character on a joint, any joint, okay? And as soon as you let go, it will ask you, do you want to characterize? You click yes, and you choose biped because you don't want a quadruped. Okay, it looks like my thing dropped. So now the character template or the node is assigned to these joints automatically. Because if you now go in character, the one you just created, and go in definition, everything is assigned already. Okay, the only thing that's not assigned is this node. You know, the parent, if you guys remember. Okay, so what I need to do is I just need to drop a null, put it at 0, 0, translation 0, 0, 0. And then take the hips and parent it to this null. Okay, so I go schematic view. This is the null we just created, and this is the hips. Select it, hold Alt, left mouse and drag, and then choose parent. Okay, so now this one controls all the skeleton. And if you want to assign it to this node, you need to unlock the character. Now select this node and assign. So now this node reference is assigned to this null we just created. We lock, after we're done, we lock, you know, the fingers are there, everything is there. Now we lock the character, we choose biped again, and now we're ready to animate. So now since the character is created, all we need is a control rig. Okay, so we just need, since there's no animation per se to bake to the control rig, we could just switch on the control rig right here. Okay, so what is the source? The source is driving, I'm just going to move this a little bit here. Whoops. So the source is being driven by the skeleton. We just need to change it to control rig. It will ask you what type of control rig do you want. We want an FK IK control rig. So now we're ready to keyframe. You know, anybody remember these buttons here? What do they do? What's the difference between full body and body part? No? You guys are so quiet. It's okay. We'll go through it in a bit. So I'm gonna save this in the character folder, because if you remember what we talked about a while ago, the characters in typos, we save it in a separate folder. Once you start animating or putting animations together, please take it in a habit of saving it in another folder, okay? So before I do that, I'm gonna go to YouTube and find my reference, okay? So I found this cool baseball throw. Ooh, slow. I found out why I was so slow, because it's the zoom. Apparently zoom takes a lot of juice. It doesn't really matter. So I found this. Try to, when you're choosing reference, again, you can choose the same one I'm using today. I don't mind. But if you decide to choose something else, try to choose a clear view of the action, because you're going to be taking those poses and replicating it in Motionbuilder. So the clearer the video reference is, the better. If you find a side view and a front view, that would be the best, because you get two angles of the action. You can be more precise in your pose creation. Okay, so what we can do is should I download it? It's really slow, huh? That's not bad. Actually, I'm gonna download it because it's just easier to work with if it's downloaded. So to download a video, you copy the video URL, and then you go to, let's put it here for now. There's this website called keepvid.ch. I'm not sure what the ch means, but it's you could just paste the pose, paste the video link, download. You choose only this video, and it will give you a couple of options here. So you could choose the highest or 720. 720 is more than enough. And download. Is it this one? Yeah, it's the little icon before. So it will open up in another tab. So just go on this little button here, three dots, and just download. So now it's in the download folder, video playback. I'll copy this, and I'm gonna go in anim clips, or let's say anim keyframe. I'll make another folder, anims keyframe. So this way I can separate the stuff coming from Mixamo and the stuff that I will be keyframing for my previs later. Okay, paste it here. I open that up. I highly recommend this software called Keyframe MP. It's really good. The free version is really amazing. You can go frame by frame with the arrow keys. You can what's it called? range, you can set a range, so range start to current, so it only plays from here, it doesn't play all the kind of dead frames in the beginning. So now if I press play, we have what we need. So maybe we can stop here, just a couple of poses. We don't need this bit, it's kind of too long already. We can maybe stop around here, then play back, edit, end frame. So we only need this chunk, so from frame 55 to 175. You can also choose time code by seconds. It's really cool videos. Just if you get a chance, download it. It's called Keyframe MP. Download. But if you have another alternative, like that you can go frame by frame, by all means, use that one. So download. This is the free version right here.
Our principal's teacher is getting us to use RV.
RV, shotgun.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the RV is really good too. It has the same. It has more features. You can play multiple videos in the same player. So that one is really cool too. It's if it's the full license, yeah, take RV. It's just as good. I'm on a budget, so that's why I use free stuff.
I think we have RV for free, the premium version.
Yeah, I think it comes with the shotgun.
Yeah.
So it should be good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so keyframe. So the video, the keyframe MP comes with a cool feature. You can make the video player on top of other videos. So like if I click on Motionbuilder, the video will disappear. But what I can do is I can tell it to always stay on top. So now I can do this and it will stay on top. So what I can do, what nice about it is I can do this and then start keyframing here. So that's the cool thing about it. I'm not sure if RV can do the same, but it's one cool feature I like. So before I start, right now Sue is in the character folder. Like I said, I'm gonna save it in the anims keyframe. So I'll call it baseball throw. Keep the same name as the character so you have an idea. Actually, I'll call it week 3 keyframe so you guys have an idea what to name it. Keyframe and Joe. I like to work in incremental saves. It's really nice tip for later once you start getting into the previs. And what the increment means, it's you know, you spend 4 hours on something, you save it as 0.1. The next 4 hours, save it as 0.2, because as you will find out with more usage of software, you know, there's crashes, there's corrupt files, there's stuff. So if something happens in the second file, the 0.02, and you can't open it anymore, hey, guess what? You have the 0.01 to go fall back on. You lost a couple of hours, but at least you didn't lose the whole day. So keep that in mind. It's really helpful. I'm gonna create a take. I'm gonna keep the T-pose. I usually do that just for kind of resetting. Sometimes, you know, T-pose is useful. And this take will be my, right? I have 2 takes, T-pose and Mixamo. This take, it will be the baseball throw. baseball throw. And 0, 0, 1 increments to inside the FBX. It's nice too, because later on, once you start with editing, working with layers, you can use the different take options and keep a backup if you want to compare later on. Okay, so I'm ready for my first pose to keyframe. So right now, the difference between these two is this is, if you guys remember in the first week in the overview, this is a full body and this is body part. So always, my preference is always start keyframing, blocking your poses with a full body, because then you don't have to worry about, oh, did I do a body part here? Did I do a full body here? So always start with full body. Always start from the hips, posing from the hips as well. So that's a given, because everything, the hips are the parent for all the bones. So choose this one. Don't choose this one, because remember the difference between this one and this one. These are both of those are full body, but the difference is this one on the left here will make you do this to the character. It will actually, it has pull on the rest of the body parts, while this one doesn't have pull, but you're still keyframing in full body. Okay, so I'm gonna switch my timeline here to frames. I like frames better than seconds, and put let's say 30 frames for now. Okay, doesn't really matter at this stage. We're just creating poses. So yeah, I'll do this for now. We're on the base layer, that's fine. So I'll start by creating my first pose, this guy here. Always start from the hips. What I like to do, this is a preference. I like to hide the control rig and just use the picker here, the UI, to pick the body parts. So the way to do this is go in models only, display, models only, and I will only show you the mesh. If you want to see the rig again, choose X-ray. Okay. The keyboard shortcut for it is Control A. It's like a toggle. If you just keep pressing Control A, it will cycle through this. Okay, first pose. So his hips are pretty straight. I'm just gonna bring down the hips just a tad, because the legs are a little bit too hyper extended. I'm just gonna relax the hips a little bit. Right now I'm using the hips with the reference node, or the axis is the global. You'll find out later when to use the local, but for now, when you're moving the hips, move it in global. It's just the difference is the global is world space, so your axis matches the environment, which is like X, Y, Z. So you have X, Y, Z on the pivot of the object. Local is the actual local pivot of the object. Okay, this is the difference. So if you select the hand, you will see that there's a small offset rotation. So because this is the local pivot of the hand. Well, if I choose global, it changes the axis. Anyways, we'll get to that later on to see what are the benefits of using global and local. Okay, so I relaxed the hips a little bit. I'm gonna press K on the keyboard, or use this guy here. Your key controls here, just press K, and I will create a red key in here. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna freeze the mesh. Let me see, there's a couple of meshes in there. It's the same trick we did the last time. It's basically all these back to outside of schematic, or Control W. I will create a group and call it mesh. So now I don't have to select it or move it by mistake. Okay, yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so hips are good. I can rotate a little bit of the feet. Looks like the right foot is a little bit backward. See, they're not the same line. So I'm just going to move it a little bit backwards, just to give it a more natural look. Something to keep handy is I usually like to create a floor so that my feet don't pass through the floor, because it's really hard to tell if it's going through the grid here. So a simple technique, you go in Elements, Templates, Elements. There's something called plane here. So just drag and drop the plane. Put it at 0, 0. Right, so now it becomes the grid, okay? And if you don't do the same thing, create a group so you don't select it every time. Call it floor. And now what happens is you have this reference. So let's say by mistake you you're rotating or you're moving your foot, and boom, you go through it. You know exactly that you just went through the floor. So it's really a good reference for knowing where the floor is. Okay. Save. So now we're ready for the upper body. So the spine too is pretty straight, but I just like to add a little bit of rotation in the upper body. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just to give it, see, like he's bending forward a little bit, so I'm just gonna take the top spine bone, the effector, and just rotate it a little bit forward. Okay, and a little bit of a twist. Okay, just a little, because he is looking that way. And now we can do the same for the head. So here's one example where it's really good idea to use the local pivot, because if you keep continuing with the global pivot, every time you rotate, see, the axis will reset to global. It doesn't show you the local pivot of the head. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch it here to local. Okay, so see how the axis changed? This is the actual pivot as it is now on that frame. So when you rotate it down, you will maintain, you will kind of see visually how much rotation you have on the pivot. Okay, instead of resetting every time. So you kind of have an idea where the, if you went too far or it's kind of breaking. So you know how much rotation that needs to be applied. And you're actually rotating with the pivot in mind rather than a global pivot. So it gives you a better idea how much rotation that is there and how much you want to increase. It doesn't stop you to use the global, but I find it really way better to use the local pivot for certain joints, you know, for certain bones. So if you notice too, I'm not doing this, and I'm not rotating all the axes at the same time. I like to do one by one to get the pose that I want, because this way if I do a mistake, I just click undo, you know, and I go back only one axis at a time. Some people like to, you know, to go do this and try to get the rotation in one shot, but most cases, you know, you're gonna have to do a couple of passes. So this doesn't look that bad. Press key again, okay, and then let's bring down the shoulders. So shoulders. So here's another. If you guys remember in the overview, if you're in global and you want to rotate both arms at the same time, here's the effect. So you're rotating both arms with this pivot in mind. So that's why one arm is up, one arm is down, because these are the values. You're rotating down, but this one is going up because it's not using the local pivot. So if you switch to local and you do the same rotation on the same axis we were doing before, each of the arms are rotating on its own local pivot. So this is the difference and the advantage. Okay. You could have just done this, you know, you could have kept it at global and just rotated one by one. That could have worked too, but it's just another way of thinking how to rotate. Rotate and move, obviously, using the different pivots, the global and the local. Okay, so we rotated this press key. Now I'm going to use the IK to move the hand a little bit. So instead of using the shoulders, I'm going to use the hand. So now we're using IK, the IK effector, right? So I'm moving the hand and kind of placing it roughly where the reference is. So it's a little bit forward, so I'm going to do this. Like I said in the overview, for the fingers, I just need one natural pose. Okay, I'm not looking to animate the fingers because it could get really, it's kind of polished, right? So I would just go in the finger UI by selecting this little option here, and just if you want to choose the other hand, click on this and just select the effectors, go rotation. So this is another example where the local pivot is better, because if you rotate like this, see, they're rotating with that axis in mind, okay? But if you change to local, now the pivot is more aligned to the finger, because that's the local pivot of the finger. Okay, so now I'm just gonna close it a little bit to give it a more natural look. Obviously, you can adjust more to make it a little bit more feminine, because they're really open. And the thumb, just bring it in a little bit. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. Just a natural pose. Look at the difference between this one and this one, right? Keyframe, and let's do the same thing with the other side. I'm pressing Control and adding the other ones, the other bones, for multiple selection. And the thumb, just bring it in a little bit. There we go. Now back to the hand. So it's already in a good place, but the elbow here is kind of more out. So what I'm going to do is, if you guys remember from the overview, I want to pin. Ooh, there's a new button here. This is new. I'll have to experiment with this later. So I'm going to pin the hand effector and just move the elbow. Let's see what that gives. So I'll show you without pinning so you guys understand what the difference is. So if I don't have pinning on the hand and I move this, it moves the whole arm. Okay? I don't want that. I want just to lock the position of the hand and just move out the elbow because I like the position of the hand and matches the video reference. So I pin the hand effector and just move out the elbow. It's really simple and it saves you a lot of time because otherwise you would have had to move the elbow, then move back the hand, which is like you're doing it twice. Okay. Keyframe, and I think the other arm is good. Maybe just a little bit of rotation on the hand, something like this. So it looks all right. Let's move on to the next pose. So how do we break down the poses? So poses, your blocking is, you know, your main poses where the you know, your anticipation, your action, and then your follow through, and then your settle at the end. But every reference is different, so you need to analyze the video and pick your poses properly. Okay, the ones you have to replicate in Motionbuilder. So I'm just gonna go frame by frame. So technically, this is his anticipation, right? He's coming down with the ball, and then actually there's kind of two anticipations. So this and this is the anticipation, and then the action, follow through, and then settle at the end right here somewhere. Okay, so anybody wants to tell me what's my next pose? No? Okay. Is probably this one. So the next major pose is this one, because he's pushing down, you know, look at his pelvis, it's going down, his spine is going down. So you need to take this frame and just replicate it in Motionbuilder. So he's kind of he's grabbing his hand. Normally a baseball throw, he would go straight to here, but he's doing something different. Still works. So I'm gonna take this pose and replicate it. Don't worry about where, we'll figure out the timing later. So I usually like to just block out, you know, you use maybe 3 frames and then keyframe another pose here. So this way I see kind of the interpolation, okay? So I'm gonna go look at the feet. So what he does is he puts the left foot forward a little bit. So we need to keep the right foot planted and just move the left foot forward. Okay. So this is the pose that we want. So notice there's a little bit of rotation on the hips. His weight, let me see, oops. Yeah, it's very slight, it's not that big. But we still need to apply some rotation on it, just to give it that dynamic pose. It is a little bit rotated forward, so we can definitely add that. Okay, so his hips are moving forward, and apply a small rotation. And maybe he's bending down for sure a little bit. And then we move the foot. So notice for the feet, I changed to global, because if you stay in local and you move it, you're either going to be floating. Actually, it's not that bad, but the way you move it now is in local, so you might have a chance of, if your rotation was like this and you moved it, it's not going to be flat anymore. So feet most of the time is global, right? Oh, this is new. Access translation data. Interesting. It looks like they added a couple of features inside the okay, that doesn't matter. So creating the pose, looks like the rotation is pretty much the same on the foot. So the spine is very bent forward, so let's do that. So rotate the spine definitely forward and a little bit more twist. Okay. I think we need to go a little bit lower on the hips, because look at how much the legs are bent. So one thing, when we move the spine, maybe we can go a little bit more. Don't worry about the head, we'll fix it up later. So if you notice right now, it looks like he's gonna fall down. She's gonna fall down. So the way to fix it is we need to move the hips backward, because his center of mass, if we keep it like this, his center of mass is here. So for sure on the next frame, he's gonna topple forward. So normally when you bend forward, your hips go back to compensate. So we need to move the hips back. Keep that in mind as you're creating your poses. I like to align the camera or the perspective to look at both feet back to back like this. So if the pose is unbalanced, you're gonna see it for sure. Okay. So we just need to fix it. so that she looks balanced. Now we can fix the head and something like that. Now we can add the arms. So right now the arms, these arms have pinning on the rotation and translation. So if I move the arm, see the rotation stays kind of, it's aligned to what it is now. But if I remove the pinning on the rotation, it kind of follows what the forearm is doing, okay? Or the elbow. So this is the difference. If you pin rotation or not, this is the difference. So it's more natural to move it like this because it follows what the arm is. There are instances where you want to keep the rotation, but for this case, you don't have to. So it looks like the clavicle needs to go down a little bit. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Notice the hand is locked too because it's pinned. And I'll just bring the other arm. Let's see what he's doing exactly. So he's just grabbing the hand from the bottom. Okay. We'll bring this arm left behind. If you notice that I'm using, to move the body parts, I'm using this yellow. So this yellow icon here is, normally you have the 3-axis, right? But what this one is, it's always aligned to the camera. So the way I like to work is align my camera to the body part and I move it according to the yellow one. So it's just a little bit easier to work with, right? It's really handy because whatever you're looking at body part wise, it's aligned to that. Okay, that looks close. Sorry, I might be going a little bit fast because we only have 20 minutes. I don't want to go over 4:30. So let's see what that looks like. So see, now the interpolation between the key poses is there. It's helping us. It's kind of working. Let's continue to the next pose. So the next pose would be, I imagine this is the full anticipation before he throws. Yeah. So what's happening here is the right arm goes back a little bit and the left is up. So I need to match, let's say here, this is the pose. Okay. So advance 3 frames, 1, 2, 3, press key, save. Nice thing about Motionbuilder, it reminds you every 15 minutes. You just click save. And then let's create this pose. This is a really nice pose because there's rotation on the hips. There's a big change in the pose. So let's do that. Move it back. Obviously rotate to the other side because now the hips are kind of like this. I'll move the leg, so the back leg. Rotate. It's a little bit out. It didn't move that much. I think that's enough. So if you want to see the previous key, Just click on the arrow keys. I lost the thing, keyboard shortcut again. Sorry, the keyboard shortcut is open source and it keeps closing by itself for some reason. So if you want to see what the relation to the previous key, you just click arrow keys left and right, so you kind of see your keys moving on the timeline. Okay, let's lift up the other leg. So again with the pinning, I can remove the pinning of the rotation, and now the rotation follows the calf, the lower leg. Okay. Yeah, we can tweak that a little bit after. Rotate local the foot to match. If you notice, I'm just focusing on this one right now. We'll focus, once we finish all the poses, we'll try to see if we have, from the front view, if we have similar poses in the front. You can do it at the same time, but it just helps you focus on one at a time. See now the difference, because I don't have the pinning on the foot, the rotation on the foot is applied when I move the knee. So that's another cool way of working. We can change the spine. Obviously it's very twisted now, so we need to twist it the other side. The skinning is breaking here a little bit. It's fine. Right? Is she off balance? She's starting to look off balance. One thing, we can raise the hips because she's too low right now. You can see like the butt is a little bit away from the ankle, so we just need to match that. Just raise it a little bit more. That's good. And let me see the rotation, local. It might be a little bit too high. So let's see what we can do. Let's try that. Back to the spine. That looks okay. I can go very nitpicky on the poses. Let's try that. The head. Always leave the arms till the end, because you know the spine changes the arm position obviously, so leave the arms always to the end. The neck is kind of breaking here. What you could do is you lock the rotation of the head and you move the effector to kind of give it a better curve or better angle. It's kind of tilting to the side a little bit more. That's not bad. Okay, let's see what we can do with the arms. Again, with the clavicle, we need to raise it up a little bit and push it to her right as much as possible. Yeah, the skinning is kind of breaking here. Let's see what we can do. So now if we move the arm, I think the arm is too forward rather than backward. That's probably why. Because if you look at it here, I think it's somewhere around here. Let me see. Yeah, it's not, it's really behind the head. That's where it is. So kind of in this department here, in this position. Okay. Is it pretty much, it has a little bend here. So we need to replicate that. Rotation. And a little bit comme ça. And the other arm. So you're always adjusting you're always going back. You will never be able to get a perfect pose from the beginning. So like, think of it as each pose a blocking by itself. So you're blocking the poses and then iterating on the different body parts. Okay. That's it. So the leg is a little bit too. I feel like the spine could be a little bit more bent. Let's try that. Move it. Move the spine. That's too much. Certain pose, like certain poses, will not work on certain characters. So you're gonna have to kind of be in the middle, like something that doesn't break the rig completely. So you know. Okay, she has longer legs, so you might not be able to get the exact same pose. So just keep that in mind as you're creating the pose. It's not going to be exactly one-to-one, but try to get it as close as possible. So the foot here, if I look at this is a good example. If I look at the forward angle or camera, the foot is rotated out. So in this case, I need to rotate in local the foot to match. Key. It's not bad. It's looking nice. Then we move to I think most likely the next pose is the throw, but I would like to take this pose as well, because if we go, well, let's try it. So I'm gonna keyframe this and I'll show you what the in-between looks like. Okay. The problem is if you don't do the previous pose, the interpolation will not be exactly as the video. So we might need to add another pose. Okay. I'll go to the next. And let's create the second pose. So what's happening here? The back foot, the right foot is locked. It just gets rotated a little bit. He rotates on the ball joint. Did I advance? Yes. So, key. And then I'm gonna cheat a little bit. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna take this pose. Nah, you know what? It's too confusing. The pose control, we'll leave it for later. Just focus on creating the poses. Okay, so now we need to go. I'll let me move the foot before I break it. Move the hips, rotate completely. Sorry, local. So now the hips are really down and forward. So I need to rotate all the way forward. Okay. And position wise, it's gonna move a little bit to the side because he's putting all the weight on this one. Okay. Don't worry about this, we'll fix it in a minute. Excuse me. Rotate in local because the foot is mangled. And it's too far out, so I need to bring it. Oops. So see, this is the, I don't have the rotation pin, and when I move it like this, it rotates down. So in order to keep the same rotation, pin the rotation. Now when I move it, it stays flat. It keeps kind of the same rotation that it currently has. Then kind of like this. Let's leave it like this for now. Then we'll tweak the we'll tweak it after. So it's not perfectly flat. I'm just gonna bring it down until it touches the floor or the plane. So now I wanna fix the foot because this foot is really mangled up. This is not natural. It looks like it's broken. So what I do is the easiest way with this character, because it doesn't have extra controls, is I go in this little sub menu. I select the toe. Okay. And I pin the toe. So pin only position. Okay. And now I move the ankle effector. What happens is you start moving with the toe locked. Okay. So then you can move it, adjust it, rotate. Let's see if it does. Yeah, the rotation too works. It tries to keep. I'll switch to local. Tries to keep the position of the toe as it is. Okay. Rotation, I think maybe we've hit the limits on this one. That's why it doesn't rotate. So if you want to move it this way works too. Okay, so once you're, you can rotate the toe too, just to get a little rotation on the toe. Just a little bit. And if you move it up, maybe global. See, now it looks way more natural, right? The knee is kind of broken. It's pointing too much inside. So go on local and just move it out a little bit. So to align kind of this axis with the foot, normally the knee doesn't, go out too much from the ankle, right? It stays close, rotation wise, like alignment wise. The foot is kind of a little bit floating, so I'm just gonna bring it down. So if I choose the ankle and bring it down in global, the toe is still locked, so I just need to remove the lock, or yeah, just remove the lock, it's going to be easier, and just bring it back so he kind of pivots off the ball joint or the side of the foot. Okay, it's looking a lot better. Notice there's a little curve here, so I'm just going to bring down the hips a little bit, and now it matches better the video reference. What else? Let's fix the spine. There's a lot of twist this way, so we need to untwist it with the local pivot. It's a bit more straight up, and you know the spine, the right shoulder is forward, so we need to twist the spine forward, right? That looks a little bit better. I got that nice S action. That looks right. You know, the chest is, the right side of the chest is pointing forward because of the arm throwing. Press K. And let's fix the head. So the head is pretty straight. That's a nice angle, actually. Actually, looking at this reference, his head is pointing the other side, so I would replicate that. Is the neck okay? Yep. So the hips, the spine has a little nice angle here. So I'm gonna try to replicate it without breaking the rig too much. Maybe not rotation. Maybe just a little bit of position just to get a nice angle on it. That looks nice. Yep. Keyframe. Now the head is maybe rotated too much, so we'll just bring it, remove the rotation pinning and just straighten it. Okay, so sometimes position doesn't work. You need to do it in rotation. There. So now let's fix the arm. It's a little bit higher in the video. And make sure the clavicle is at full extent forward. So if you put the control rig on, it's already to the full extent. I don't think we can push it. It's going to break the skinning too much. Maybe pull up the elbow a little bit, because kind of when you throw, the elbow is locked more and it's a little bit higher, so we can definitely add that detail. The other arm is pretty simple. It's kind of on his side, so let's just bring that forward and a little bit more closer to the body. The elbow is too much in. So we need to bring that out. So I'll lock the pinning, rotation, and position, and just bring out the elbow a little bit. It's too in. I think the hand, a little bit rotated, comme ça. Now maybe, I think she's a little bit off balance. Looking at the reference, see, like the head is almost to the front leg. We don't have the same thing, so I'm just gonna push it a little bit to the side. Looks better. Good. Nice. And now let's see what the interpolation gave us. So by interpolation mean is the frame between this one and this one. So this is okay, but this, it breaks here, right? Because look at the in-between bit and the video reference, right? So what's happening here is he's shifting his weight from the back one to the front one. So that's another key pose you're missing. So that's why I was saying early on is each reference is different. The way you extract the poses and replicate it in your scene in Maya or Motionbuilder. So in this case, you need this pose. Otherwise, you're gonna get some kind of mush pose in here. So I'm gonna create an in-between, right, a couple of frames right before the throw. So maybe this one, or maybe as soon as his foot is fully planted. So yeah, this one looks good. Okay, I'll show you how to copy paste keys because this is really important. You can copy paste this foot to be planted on the previous one, or you can copy the whole pose, because I'm just going to create a pose here. So because the feet are pretty planted here, so they should be the same on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this key, go copy, go previous key, which is the in-between, and then paste. So now these two keys are similar, but at least I have the feet planted. Okay, so I just need to go in and create a different pose with this using, you know, the upper body and the pelvis, change the pelvis basically. So what I want to do is I want to push back the pelvis and less rotation, because on the throw your hips are more forward. If you look at the video reference, his hips is pointing this way. This is the center of the hips here. You can rotate it a little bit back to so this foot, you can match it to the previous key. Whoops. Okay, because it's pretty similar to this. Yeah. So what do? Just switch to body part for 1 second. Copy. Go to the next key and paste. So now, because we're in body part, it didn't paste the whole pose. It just pasted the pose on this leg. Okay, that's the difference too between full body and body part. So now this key, that the in-between, has the same position and rotation as the previous key. Now I'm gonna switch back to full body so I don't make the mistake of keep keying in body part, and continue with the pose matching of the video. The knee is busted a little bit, so I just need to straighten it up a little bit. There we go. Fix up the spine. So the twist is more back because she's still anticipating to throw. So she's going to be a little bit more up or more bent backwards to preparing for the throw. Looks like she's a little bit off balance. Alright, so I'm going to take the hips in global and push it back a little bit. There we go. And let's try to fix the head to see if we have a good pose. I don't think we're going to get to the props this week. We'll do it next week, probably. Just want to finish up probably this pose and maybe one more pose. And then so this one is a little bit tricky. The throw, actually it's not that bad. It kind of matches the video. And then this arm, kind of forward. So the interpolation on the arms is kind of okay. You just need to tweak a few things. Maybe just bring down the elbow a little bit more in and rotate this. So now what do we have? We have a nice in between instead of that mush that we had before. So let's play it back and see where we got. Wow, it's really fast, right? Because we didn't spend any time on the timing. So I think maybe for the next 10 minutes I'll leave it at that. I think we got enough. Maybe just a follow through pose, this pose, yeah. Just to finish, like get anticipation, action, and then some follow through, okay? So one last pose, the follow through is really simple. Action and then follow through somewhere here. It's pretty similar to the throw pose. We just need to go down a little bit lower, full body, and a little bit more forward, right? So in this case I can rotate the global because we want to rotate on this one axis, okay? Maybe a little bit on the spine, just a bit more forward. So notice the head strays pretty much straight, so I just need to fix that. And he's kind of actually rotation local, straighten up the head, and bring down that arm. So the arm is most of the follow through is on the arm. It goes down really low. And the backhand, it goes up high to balance. So notice again with the pinning, I'm going to remove the rotation and balance him out like that. Okay, that looks good. So let's figure out the timing in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so we have these nice poses, but it's way too fast. So what do? We need to try to match the same timing as the video. So on frame you know, you can use this if you use the keyframe MP, you can switch to frame numbers range, and what it will do is whatever frame range you set, it will reset the frames to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So in this case, you can just go frame by frame, and he's holding that pose for 8 frames. Okay, so what do we need to do is from 0 to 8, we need to hold this pose, this frame, this key pose that we did. Okay, so we just need to, I'll stretch out this to like 60 and move all of these poses. Make sure you're in full body, and I'm gonna move them to like 20 for now. Okay, so I go to frame 8, copy again, copy, paste. So now what he's doing is he's holding this pose. Okay, if I'm not sure by default Motionbuilder what kind of keys, the type of keys that come with. If you notice that he's overshooting during these, actually, can somebody tell me what type of, does somebody have Motionbuilder open? What type of key is here set? Linear, or is it set to auto?
It's auto.
Auto? Okay, so in case it's auto, I'm just gonna switch all of these to auto, so you got, I'm like you. Did it change? It's supposed to change. It doesn't look like it's overshooting. It might overshoot because it's the same exact pose, so it's okay. Actually, it is overshooting. Look at the head. Okay, it's okay. So it's overshooting a little bit. So I'll go through the interpolation type of keys in a second. Okay, so we're holding for 8 frames, just like the video. And then what is the next pose we chose? We chose this, okay? But he does slow down here, so we might not need it actually, we'll see. So maybe 30. So we're gonna move the next key to frame 30, which is this one, right? So now what do we have? Perfect. And the next key is this one, where he slows down, 56. So we're gonna need 120, no, we're gonna need, that's okay, we'll figure that out in a second. 56. By the way, if you don't see the keys here, because you have nothing selected on the control rig. So the next key, we move it to 56. We're gonna need more. Okay. And what is our next key? The touchdown on the foot, which is 77. And then the throw somewhere here at 82. Was that right? Yeah, 82. And then the follow through, let's say 90. So maybe 90 frames. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So we just adjusted the timing to match the video. Not bad, not bad. It's a good start. So obviously we're missing here, see, this is another issue. We missed, we're gonna need another pose here and in between. But we might need another one here as well. I think it's too soft here. Maybe we missed something. 56. Yeah, that's correct. So I don't know why it's a little bit soft. Maybe he does do that in the video. Yeah, he kind of sticks a little bit on the landing. So it's pretty close. So that's it in a nutshell. So if you look at the feet, they're kind of sliding a little bit too much. So I would keep everything in auto except for the feet. So switch to body part, select both feet, select all those keys, and change the interpolation. The interpolation is the tangents, the curves. Okay, so see how now the curves on both feet are super nice and smooth. The easiest way is, if you don't want to deal with F curves and anything like that, you select the keys here. Make sure you're in body part. Shift, select, Shift. Whoops. Shift plus click. Go interpolate. Right now it's auto because we just changed it before. And you go to linear. So now your curves are linear and they should, it's a little bit better. It's the difference is subtle. Let me see what it looks like from the front before we wrap it up. It's not bad for an introduction. I mean, we can go another hour trying to figure out the curves and make it a lot smoother. But the whole purpose of this exercise is to get you comfortable with the controller. So that's it. That's the assignment. So don't go, like, if you're not gonna choose the same assignment, the same video, try not to go over more than how many keys did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go from 5 to 10 poses, okay? Don't go more than that because, you know, it's your first try with the control rig. Obviously, you want to challenge yourself. This would be a nice challenge to keyframe, but please don't keyframe from scratch. I need to see the video that you use and the result in Motionbuilder, matching as close as possible to the video reference. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
When you say 5 to 10 poses, does that also include the in-betweens?
No, the in-betweens are free, so I need timing as well, right? So I need you to create the poses and then match the timing that's in the video. So don't give me something like, you know, the poses are on 0, 5, 10, 15. No, don't give me that. I want to see your final timing matching what's in the video. So it's posing and timing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
For this assignment, obviously, if we don't use the baseball throw, what kind of like motions would you recommend for this kind of thing?
Something else you mean?
Yeah, like what kind of motion would be like appropriate if not?
Choose parkour. So I've done parkour exercises before in the other class. I chose like a jump roll last year. Let me see what I don't remember exactly. I think yeah, it's in the playlist in my, let me see, playlist, Dawson 2020. Hold on. Hold on a sec. Keyframing, this one.
Thing about it, if you
Oh yeah, this one was an hour and a half too, so it wasn't short. Where is it? Yeah, it shows like a jump roll kind of animation. So anything action, you know, because action really allows you to practice the body mechanics. So go with something more like, don't choose like a talking animation or anything like that. You're not gonna learn a lot of body mechanics. You're not gonna challenge yourself. And that kind of stuff is usually mocap. So choose something with body mechanics because it lets you move the control rig in very challenging, like maybe a basketball dunk. We did that a while ago. Some students did that. Parkour, maybe a big kick or punch, something like that. Something more action oriented.
For sure. Thank you.
Yep.